Chloe's getting married. My dad's voice rang out over the phone, full of excitement he never saved for me. She's marrying the founder of StratEdge Analytics? I stared at the due diligence report open on my tablet. StratEdge Analytics, a Seattle-based data firm struggling to stay afloat after a disastrous product launch last year. Their founder, Ethan Carter, had been quietly shopping around for a buyout. That's amazing, Dad, I replied, keeping my tone flat. If only they knew. The ceremony's at the Fairmont in San Francisco, he continued. But don't worry, we know things must be tight with your situation. My situation. That's what they called my refusal to join my cousin's law firm after grad school. Instead, I built a boutique strategic advisory agency in Austin, completely under the radar, just how I wanted it. I can handle it, Dad. He sighed. Claire, you're 36. When are you going to stop pretending this hobby is a career? Chloe's VP at Helix Global, now she's marrying a tech genius, and you're still doing what exactly? I looked out from my loft's floor-to-ceiling windows, the Austin skyline glowing. Just trying to stay afloat, I said with a smile. The night of Chloe's engagement gala arrived with fireworks. Literally, the rooftop venue in downtown San Francisco glistened, all glass, gold, and overdone elegance. Claire! Chloe's voice rang out as she glided toward me in a couture gown, her fiancé by her side. I didn't think you'd make it, she smirked. Couldn't afford a new dress? I glanced down at my deep navy sheath, a minimalist designer piece made in Italy. It's what I had lying around. She gave a patronizing smile and turned to Ethan. This is my sister Claire. She runs, what's it called again? Beacon something? Beacon Strategies? I offered. Ethan's smile faltered. I recognized that look. I'd seen it in every quarterly projection he'd tried to spin to investors. He extended a hand. Wait, Claire Walsh, the one who just bought majority shares in StratEdge? I smiled. Surprise. Chloe's face froze. Ethan looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. Turns out, my little consulting firm wasn't so little after all. I took a sip of champagne, hiding my smile. There would be no expansion, not with Ethan Carter steering the ship. Claire doesn't really follow all that business jargon, Chloe chimed in, looping her arm through Ethan's. She's more of a small picture person. If only she knew. While she'd been designing centerpieces and cake tastings, I'd been finalizing the acquisition of her fiancé's company. Beacon Strategies, my firm, had flagged StratEdge Analytics 6 months ago. Their tech was outdated, their leadership scattered, and their funding on life support. Actually, I said smoothly, I'd love to hear more about your expansion strategy. Ethan perked up like a man trying to impress a boardroom. He launched into a well-practiced monologue about disruptive insights and scalable integrations. I nodded politely, noting how he skipped over the 3 consecutive quarters of losses, the client churn rate, or the fact that half his development team had walked 2 weeks ago. Fascinating, I murmured, catching our dad's proud gaze resting squarely on Chloe. Isn't it? Chloe beamed. I'm joining the board right after the wedding. Ethan says I've got a natural instinct for leadership. Of course he did. He needed her name, or more precisely, the Rolodex that came with it. What he didn't know, what she didn't know, was that those connections no longer ran through our dad, they ran through me. The party rolled on like an over-budget gala, all rented elegance and ego. Guests stopped every few minutes to fawn over Chloe's engagement ring and her incredible future. A few shot me those sympathetic looks, the kind people save for spinsters and starving artists. Near the bar, Dad cornered me with that familiar concerned parent smile. You know, Claire, it's not too late. I could still call in a few favors, get you into a real firm. I almost choked on my drink. The stack of resumes I had waiting back at my office included senior partners from the very firms he once worshipped. Beacon didn't advertise. We didn't need to. Thanks, Dad, I said, but I'm happy where I am. He shook his head. You could have been Chloe, you know. You had so much potential. I smiled tightly. Chloe. The golden child. The one marrying a man whose company was weeks away from being absorbed by mine. As the night wound down, Chloe found me near the exit. Claire, I've been thinking, she started, her voice sugary. After the wedding, maybe I can help you land a real position, something at StratEdge. Entry level, of course, but it's a start. I studied her. The designer dress, the flawless makeup, the confident condescension. She'd won the game she was playing. She just didn't know the rules had already changed. Because in less than a month, during the toasts at her fairy tale wedding, Ethan would be receiving a very different kind of surprise. An acquisition notice. Signed by me. Thanks, Chloe, I said softly, slipping on a polite smile. But I think I'll stick with what I have. Driving home in my quiet electric sedan, intentionally modest, deliberately forgettable, I couldn't help but smile. It was the perfect cover. Let them think I was stuck in some low-paying niche job. Let them believe that Claire, the quiet older sister, had never quite measured up. Let them talk. Back at my condo overlooking Lady Bird Lake in Austin, I opened my laptop and drafted a quick message to my board. Proceed with the StratEdge acquisition. Timeline, 3 weeks. Target, wedding day. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving them wrong in the moment. It's letting them live in their fantasy until it comes crashing down around them. I picked up my phone and texted my assistant. Send me everything we've got on Ethan Carter's last 2 investor meetings. And confirm legal is prepped. The pieces were all in place. All I had to do now was wait. The Fairmont Grand's rooftop had been transformed into a luxury wedding fantasy. Cascading orchids, crystal chandeliers imported from Paris, an entire staff of servers in white gloves. Chloe, glowing in a couture wedding gown, was soaking in every spotlighted second in front of 500 guests. I sat quietly at table 19, tucked away near the service entrance. Of course. My phone buzzed with a silent notification. Final confirmation. Beacon's acquisition of StratEdge had gone through. All that remained was the reveal. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethan's voice echoed over the speakers. He tapped his champagne glass with a flourish. A toast to my radiant bride. Today, she becomes not just my partner in life, but in business as well. Polite applause. Starting Monday, Chloe will be joining StratEdge Analytics as our new Chief Marketing Officer. More applause. Dad looked like he was going to burst with pride. Mom dabbed tears like she was watching royalty marry. I checked the time. 2 minutes until market close. 2 minutes until everything changed. Chloe took the mic, her smile camera ready. Thank you, everyone. I couldn't be more thrilled to help lead StratEdge into a bold new future. Under our leadership, I know we'll soar. Our leadership. I almost pitied her. Almost. My phone buzzed again. Market closed. Seconds later, a new alert popped up. Beacon's acquisition announcement had hit every major business outlet. CNBC, Bloomberg, TechCrunch. And as if perfectly choreographed, Ethan's phone rang. He excused himself with a grin, stepping away from the table. I watched his face change as he listened. His brow furrowed, his jaw clenched. The man who had just toasted to his power couple empire was now learning that it wasn't his company anymore. It was mine. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is served between vows and champagne toasts. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the moment Chloe realizes her fairy tale just turned into my business move. Confusion, shock, disbelief. Ethan ended the call, hands visibly trembling. Ethan? Chloe whispered, touching his arm, her smile fading. What's wrong? His voice cracked. StratEdge, it's been acquired. Beacon Strategies, they just bought controlling interest. That's impossible, she gasped. The deal wasn't finalized? I stepped forward, calm and deliberate. It was. 20 minutes ago. The music faded. Conversations died. All eyes slowly turned toward me. Ethan's mouth opened, but no words came. How do you know that? I reached into my clutch and pulled out a sleek business card. Not the simple one I usually offered at networking events, but the real one. I placed it gently on the table between us. Claire Walsh, founder and CEO, Beacon Strategies. Chloe blinked. No! Her voice cracked as her perfect wedding day makeup began to betray her. You work at some little firm. You're nobody. I kept my tone measured. That little firm was Beacon. I built it from the ground up while you were busy mocking my lack of ambition. I turned to Ethan, his expression hollow. And you? Check your inbox. You'll find your resignation letter already waiting. The board has accepted it. A low ripple spread through the ballroom. My mother gasped, dropping her champagne flute with a sharp crack. My father stood motionless, the color draining from his face. You can't do this, Chloe shrieked. This is my wedding, my moment. I glanced around the opulent rooftop setting. Chandeliers swaying, guests whispering behind napkins. Actually, I can, I said simply. And about that CMO position you were so proud of? The board has concerns about nepotism. We'll be moving in another direction. Ethan slumped back in his chair, the confident founder persona stripped away. Those expansion plans you told me about at the engagement party? I added with a sip of champagne. Exactly what convinced me StratEdge needed new leadership, so thank you for that. Chloe lunged forward, grabbing my arm, her manicured nails digging into my skin. Why, Claire? Why would you do this to me? I gently pulled her hand away. Remember last Christmas? I asked. When you told everyone not to expect much from me gift-wise because I was stuck in my pathetic little job. I smiled. Consider this my wedding gift. A lesson in humility. From the corner of the room I heard my father finally speak, his voice shaky. All this time, Claire, you were building something. I turned to him, fully composed. An empire, I said, yes. While you were lamenting my wasted potential, I said evenly, I was transforming Beacon Strategies into one of the most powerful consulting firms in the country, $40 million in revenue last year alone. My mother swayed slightly, her hand gripping the back of a chair. But your apartment, your clothes, Chloe stammered. We're choices, I finished for her. I never needed to perform my success. I needed to build it, quietly, until the timing was just right. I smoothed the fabric of my understated navy dress, custom-tailored, though it looked intentionally plain. And what better moment than my dear sister's wedding? The ballroom had descended into barely contained chaos. Guests whispering, phones out, frantically Googling Beacon Strategies, trying to reconcile the woman they'd pitied with the empire she actually controlled. Chloe's perfect day had become something else entirely. A spectacle of power, precision, and poetic justice. Security, she screamed, unhinged. Get her out. I let out a soft laugh. The Fairmont Grand? I gestured to the walls. I own it. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Bought it last month, actually, just for today. I turned toward the crowd. Please, everyone, enjoy the celebration, I said smoothly. The champagne is excellent. I selected it myself. And with that, I walked toward the exit, heels clicking against marble. Behind me, I heard my mother calling my name. But I didn't turn. 10 years of dismissal, of condescending smiles and whispered jokes, all ended in one perfect moment. Outside, my driver waited beside a sleek black Bentley. No more sensible car to play the part. Where to, Miss Walsh? The office, I replied. We've got a company to restructure. As the city moved around us, my phone buzzed constantly. Calls, messages, headlines. Relatives now remembering I existed. Reporters eager for a quote. Chloe's increasingly frantic texts. I silenced it, let them talk, let them scramble. Let them finally understand the sister they'd laughed off as irrelevant had become the most powerful person in the room. And every snide comment, every dead-end job jab had only fueled my rise. By Monday morning, I was back in my corner office in downtown Austin, coffee in hand, watching through the glass as StratEdge employees filed into their building across the street. They didn't know it yet, but by lunch, half of their senior leadership would be gone. My assistant Madison walked in. Your sister and parents are in the lobby again, she said. They've been here since 7. Tell them the CEO is in meetings all day. She smirked. Want me to send anything down? I turned back to the window. Yes, send the updated organizational chart. The one showing Chloe's position eliminated? I nodded. That's cold, Madison said with a grin. No, I replied, picking up a photo from my desk. Our last family Christmas, when they'd laughed at my modest little life. That's business. Underscore 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 underscore. I looked down at the photo in my hands, me in the background, smiling awkwardly while everyone else clinked champagne flutes and toasted to Chloe's promotion, her new condo, her latest win. No one had noticed. I was the one who'd paid the restaurant bill that night. I held the picture for a moment longer. Then I dropped it in the trash. Sometimes success isn't about shouting from the rooftops. It isn't even about proving people wrong. It's about waiting. Waiting for the moment when silence speaks louder than words. When the world finally sees what you've quietly built, brick by brick, late night. And as StratEdge's stock surged under Beacon Strategies' leadership, as Chloe's LinkedIn quietly changed to open to opportunities, as Ethan faded into obscurity and my parents could no longer ignore the headlines with my name at the top, I knew one thing for certain. The dead-end job they had mocked over holiday dinners and birthday brunches had become their dead end. And I had become everything they never believed I could be. Their boss. But titles don't erase the sting of being forgotten, of being the one no one clapped for. So when my assistant slipped in with my calendar for the week, I looked up and asked, "Are they still waiting downstairs?" Madison nodded. "Third day in a row." I let out a slow breath. "Send down the PR packet, the one with my name on the Forbes cover." She paused. "Want me to include the letter of termination?" I shook my head. "No, let them ask for it." I turned back to the window, the skyline blazing with the soft glow of sunset. The building across the street, my building now, still buzzed with activity. The restructuring was already showing results. I could see the data in real time. But it wasn't the numbers that satisfied me. It was the stillness, the knowing. For years I'd made myself small to make them comfortable. I'd stayed quiet when they made the jokes. I let Chloe shine, even when her spotlight cast a shadow over everything I was building. But now the light was mine. And I didn't need their applause. I didn't need an apology. I had power. Real power. And I'd earned every piece of it. My phone buzzed again, another news outlet requesting a statement. I silenced it, reached for my coffee, and let a rare smile touch my lips. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's elegant. It's precise. It's irreversible. And in the end, it's just business. I know some of you probably watch my story unfold with a mix of disbelief and satisfaction. Maybe you've been the Claire in your own family, the overlooked one, the underestimated one, the one quietly building while everyone else takes center stage. If you have, then you already know this wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming something that was mine all along. My worth. If you felt something while watching this, I'd love for you to comment below. Not just for me, but for anyone else out there who's still in the shadows, still being told they're not enough. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what part of this story made you sit up a little straighter. And if you've ever been in my shoes, tell me how you rose above it. Because this story, it's not just mine. It's for every quiet worker in the back room, every underestimated daughter, every person whose family only started paying attention when the money came in. Let this be a reminder. You don't need their permission to be great. You just need time. And the strength to believe in yourself when no one else does. So, if this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs a reminder of their power. And most of all, don't stop building. Let them laugh. Let them underestimate you. And when the time is right, let your success be the loudest voice in the room. I'll be reading the comments. Leave a message for me. Or for the version of yourself who's still waiting for their moment. Let's remind each other that success isn't about being seen first. It's about being unforgettable when it matters most.